23 years ago, Danny Boyle completely reinvented the zombie genre with 28 Days Later, giving us aggressive, fast-paced, rage-induced Infected. And now he's back, with his newest entry into the franchise 28 years later. But can lightning strike twice? Can Boyle redefine the genre a second time? Or is this a reminder that some franchises are better off left dead and buried? Let's get into it. So the film kicks off during the early days of the outbreak, set in the Scottish countryside. It's brutal, tense, and wastes no time reminding you how savage this virus is. Honestly, it's a strong start, classic Boyle tension and raw atmosphere. But let's not kid ourselves, as good as it is, nothing beats 28 Weeks Later's opening. That 10-minute stretch is still the most raw, frantic, and unforgettable zombie scene ever created. Boyle gets closer, but the bar's nearly impossible to beat. After the opening sequence, the film then jumps 28 years into the future, where we're introduced to what seems to be the last remaining humans within the UK, living on Holy Island. Now, what really stands out about 28 years later is how it respects the audience's intelligence. Unlike a lot of modern horror sequels that feels the need to spoon feed you every little detail, this film trusts viewers to pay attention and piece things together themselves. The storytelling's subtle but effective, there's no endless exposition dumps or overly simplistic explanations. Instead, the film drops clues through character interactions, environmental storytelling, and well-crafted dialogue. And I gotta say, this approach makes the experience way more gripping and immersive. Now, I know what you're thinking, how are they still infected within the UK after 28 years? Wouldn't they starve out like in 28 Weeks Later? Well, that event never happened, and the infected don't actually starve. You see them eating animals throughout the film, showing the virus has evolved to survive long term. Also, the virus never spread beyond the UK, which might disappoint some of you that wanted to see a global outbreak. Now, I actually like 28 Weeks Later, especially its iconic opening, but directing a worldwide zombie movie would have gone too far into World War Z territory, and also would have been a proper ball ache to make. What I enjoyed though is how Boyle's expanded on the virus itself. Those sprinting, rage-fueled infected were terrifying before, but now, knowing they metabolise differently and survive longer, it makes them even more frightening. Throughout the film, you'll be introduced to a variety of infected. There's these fat, slow infected, and it's explained that the virus metabolises in the bodies like a steroid, making them bloated. The standard running infected are back, and there's also a new alpha strain of the virus. These things are on another level, faster, stronger, and far more dangerous than the usual infected. Taking one down ain't easy, and to make things worse, they seem to command other infected, essentially using them as their own personal foot soldiers. Now, I'm not usually a fan of the whole smart zombie angle, but it's done right for once. The alphas aren't out there setting traps or using elaborate tactics, but there's no denying that they think differently. They're definitely more calculated and aware. You can even see varying levels of intelligence amongst them. Some are clearly more cunning, whilst others still lean into raw primal aggression. They're not exactly caveman smart, but they're sharper than you'd expect, having just enough intelligence to make them genuinely scary. As for the film's cinematography, considering parts of it was shot on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it looks incredible. It still gives you that classic 28 Days Later feeling, but updated and fresh, especially during the action scenes, like that tense forest sequence where Jamie and his son are weaving between the trees, taking turns firing arrows at a relentless infected horde. It looks awesome. The camera work just keeps you right there in the chaos, and I can't fault it. It's really well done. Now, the one thing I definitely wasn't ready for was the sheer amount of naked zombies on screen. You see a lot of jump flopping around, especially during the alpha scenes. But the wildest moment, the zombie baby. Yeah, they actually went there. But here's the twist. The baby's actually born human. It's proper disturbing, but it makes sense in the world Boyle's built. It's explained that the virus doesn't pass through the placenta, so somehow, despite the mother being fully infected, the child survives completely uninfected. It's one of those scenes that's both fucked up, yet weirdly emotional, as you watch an infected woman show small remnants of her humanity, whilst giving birth to a newborn child. Cast-wise, 28 Years Later pulls together a solid lineup. Aaron Taylor-Johnson balances protectiveness and determination in his role as a father, but without overplaying it. Jodie Comer as Isla stands out, especially as her character struggles with an undiagnosed illness that's progressively getting worse, adding a layer of vulnerability and tension to the story. And Alfie Williams as Spike, well, he actually had a lot more character growth and development than I was expecting. He's not just the typical kid in danger. You see him evolve and face tough choices, adding real weight, as well as making his journey both compelling and believable. The supporting cast does a great job too, adding depth without stealing the spotlight, keeping the show focused on the story. No big name distractions, just strong performances throughout. And no, that zombie in the trailer isn't Cillian Murphy, but apparently his character is gonna make a return in the next film. Now, as for the ending, to me, it just didn't fit and honestly ruined the seriousness of the entire film. They had a solid ending right there. All they needed to do was cut to credits, but nope, out of nowhere you get 2 minutes of these Scottish acrobatic Jesus worshippers in blonde wigs doing an unnecessary amount of flips whilst killing zombies to a god-awful cheesy soundtrack. It was just completely out of place. Sure, if you were paying attention, there's a small decent twist, but the way they pulled it off, nah, it didn't work. Hopefully they'll explain it better in the next film. Overall, 28 years later is a really strong addition to the franchise, and with this movie apparently kicking off a new trilogy, I'm excited to see where they take it next. But what about you? Have you seen 28 years later? What are your thoughts on it, and what are your predictions on the franchise going forward? Let me know down in the comments, and if you could do me a solid by liking and subscribing, it'd be much appreciated. Also, if you like live stream gameplay, then check out my Twitch, and I'm currently looking for a Discord admin, so if you're interested, join my Discord, send me a message, links are in the description. I hope you all have a great week, and thanks for watching. Until next time peeps, stay frosty.